There we go.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Having a good day? Have you gotten out into the sun at all?
Yes.
All right, good. That's important.
A little bit.
So this is like your third or fourth show adapting these big DC characters for television. What have you learned from the process of doing that over and over again?
That I think you have to, myself and some of the people that I work with regularly, we try and make a show that we would want to watch. I think that's important because, you know, if you try and please everyone all the time, you can make something that's really generic. And so we try not to be afraid of the thing being what it is. And so if it has whatever elements that we loved about the comic book are the things we try and reproduce on the screen. And then also finally, I would say not to be afraid to change things to make it work in a television narrative, you know, in a TV format. So that's important too. And it's nice to have partners in that because if you're just doing it alone, it's so hard. But also, it's nice to be able to check your gut against somebody else. So we have a nice group of people that we trust each other to make, hopefully take risks.
Why is Supergirl then the perfect property to bring to television next? We've done Arrow, Flash, and Legends. Why is it the next?
Well, I was excited about it for a couple of reasons. I mean, I went into DC and to Warner's and they sort of said, who here would you be interested in doing? And they mentioned some other properties and then they went by Supergirl, but I think that they sort of thought, okay, well, this might play on a younger network somewhere or whatever. And in my mind, I just think the Superman mythos is and the Krypton mythology is just pretty much the most famous mythology, and that S is the most famous letter, in the superhero universe. And so that was the notion of being a part of something that I really felt could connect with a lot of people was exciting. And it is a network where we get more money to make it, and so we can make it a little bigger, and that was exciting too. And then finally, to have a female hero, I think was something that we also really wanted to explore, and some of the other components that would be in her life. And when I was a kid, the Donner films sort of set the standard, not just for me, not just for superhero movies, but for movies. Like it just was epic and warm and fun and exciting, and so we wanted to do something that was more, that had that DNA.
I'm so excited for a female superhero show.
Good.
So many people are. What do you hope that young women take away from Supergirl?
I hope that young women and young men, see her as just as powerful as the male heroes. So many times we're breaking stories or we're pitching stories, and people say, well, would she do that? Is that really? And you say, well, if it was a guy and we were pitching this, nobody would even ask some of those questions, And so it's interesting how we all are just still asking some of those things, and it'd be nice to just sort of move on to whatever the next phase of all that is.
This is the first time that we've seen Kara be older than like 17 or 18.
Right.
So what was kind of the choice? What was the decision-making process of aging her up a little bit versus kind of keeping her more?
I mean, truthfully, that probably came mostly out of wanting her to be in that kind of crossroads between a youth and a young adult and an adult. And I think it was a slightly broader audience I felt like we could reach if we just age drop a touch, and did truthfully get her out of high school where her personal stories would be high school driven then. And then it would have been, a great high school show, but we may not have had the large kind of canvas that I think we get a chance at with this.
Can you talk a little bit about the tone of the show? I mean, you get a sense of what it is and but does that kind of continue, or are you going to
Yeah, I mean, I think the tone, I mentioned the Donner movies, but like that's always a touchstone for us in the sense of it's got comedy and it's got heart and it has action, and the action should feel just as, I don't want to say real, but just as dark at times and scary. And so it's a blend of all of those things. I mean, I think in a way, things can be sometimes too comedic or whatever, but this should have, it has a bit of the workplace comedy. It has an adult sibling relationship, which is, I mean, if you took all the superpowers out of the show, those things would hopefully be just as interesting and captivating in the story. And so it has a lot of those different flavors. It's not doom and gloom superhero life. It's not that. She's excited to be a superhero, and that's cool.
Thank you so much.
What do you think?